I've been in the situation with trying to register as a teacher from home. The process is quite lengthy. Thank God you guys came along when you did. What are the steps that people need to take? Because many people make the mistake of coming to Australia or the UK, vice versa, and they then want to teach, but there's actually a process before you should get on that flight. What should that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, ANZ UK is here to help you with every step of your journey. So we can help you assess your eligibility for visas and sponsorship. We aren't a migration agency, but we're pretty clued up, so we can help point you in the right direction. I would advise you to get all of your documents together, specifically all of your university transcripts, so we can assess your eligibility for registration and help you apply for that as well. As you said, it's a lengthy process, so it's important that we get everything sorted before you arrive.
What is the time process if I was to think about going to Australia at the end of the year? It's now January. How long should it take me to start processing this and prepare for this?
It does depend on what type of visa you're going to come on. If you're coming on a working holiday visa, I'd give yourself a few months for that visa to process. The VIT or the NESA registration as well, they work a little bit differently. So again, your consultant can help you with a timeline. VIT, for example, in Victoria is a bit faster and you can achieve that before you arrive, whereas NESA, you need to be here on the ground. So definitely a few months before you arrive is ideal, but again, we're here to help you every step of the way, so we'll help you fast track that as much as we can.
Amazing. And through the events that I've been running with you guys in the UK and Ireland, one of the things that people like to know is kind of how this works in terms of recruitment agencies are still very new at home, but I've been trying to reiterate the fact that this is all a free service that you guys run. So not only do you help with the visas and the registrations, but when they get to Australia, what does that look like for them, or New Zealand, in terms of employment opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, this is a free service and we're paid by the schools to connect the educators with the schools. So there'll be no cost for any educator to ever sign up with us. Basically, the schools will employ us for a magnitude of different reasons. It could be they have a teacher shortage, they might not have an HR department where they can source and put resources into sourcing for educators. So they'll contact us as we have a really wide database of candidates. So very much a free service, and we're here to really support the educators and basically connect them with our schools.
Yeah, brilliant. So they don't have to go and look for the jobs when they get here or like download any apps. It is all done through ANZ UK Education.
Absolutely, that's it.
What are the kind of opportunities here in Australia?
So there's many opportunities available. You can do CRT, casual relief teaching. You could do a short-term contract, which could be 1 day a week for 1 term. That could be 5 days a week for a year. Or there is ongoing employment opportunities if you have the working rights as well. So we work within primary and secondary school. We also service early childhood education as well. So whatever type of teacher you are, we're here to help. So as you know, Caroline and I are both educators originally, so I'd love to hear from you. Why should educators take the leap and move abroad to teach?
I think as an educator, it's important to travel the world and be able to experience different curriculums, different education systems, meet new teachers, find out different ways of teaching. I think it really broadens your horizon in the way that you teach and ways that you can move forward with your teaching. I find that being in Australia especially, I've learned a lot more about mental health and how you should approach your teaching alongside mental health. I've learned a lot about the history of Australia. The curriculums are very similar and it's made it very easy to transition into the education system here. And it's also just been a really big eye-opener for me because coming from the UK, I suppose I've been taught that teaching is a vocation. My mindset was very unhealthy in that like I nearly should have made my whole life revolve around teaching, but coming to Australia has taught me that teaching is a part of my life, but also that, you know, you shouldn't live to work, that you should work to live. And because of that, it's made me a better teacher in the classroom, a happier teacher, and a happier teacher means that you're providing better lessons for the kids, that you're fully present. And overall, it's just taught me how to move forward in my education and my career. It's made me more employable now that I've moved back to Ireland within the first week of moving back. I was contacted so many times to become a teacher in different schools, and I just think that it just enriches your your CV and makes you more employable overall. But it's also a great opportunity just for you to continue being happy and living your life. You shouldn't get your permanent job and that be it and almost feel like life's over at 30. It should only just begin, and your education should go in par with your life and your goals and your careers, and that's what Australia's taught me in a nutshell.
Well, I moved overseas to teach in London, I think, for the unfamiliar. I was living in New Zealand. I was teaching near a school that I attended, and I moved to the other side of the world, and it feels like my whole world started from that moment, actually. My horizons broadened, my mind opened, I experienced people from all different walks of life, students, different curriculums. I had different opportunities, and as you said, my opportunities expanded from the moment I went abroad to teach, so forever thankful of that decision. So what did you find were the similarities and the differences moving abroad to teach?
The main similarities is that, and don't be fooled by this, you will work extremely hard. That is your career. As a teacher, no matter where you go, it's hard work. You're going to get kids in every class that will play up and misbehave. It's not that they're polished here and that they're any different to the kids at home. It's all about how you approach your classroom and your behavioural management. The biggest difference for me was that the history of Australia is embedded into every subject that I taught, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. The history has been rewritten over the last 10 to 15 years, and now the Aboriginal history and the Dreamtime story is all very much embedded into the curriculum and a core part of the teaching, which is so beautiful. So no matter what subject you teach, whether it's history, religion, geography, there will be a case study in some aspect in that chapter that you're studying or that topic that will revolve around the Aboriginal history, and it's so important that that is done. So if you are to come over to Australia or New Zealand, wherever it is that you may be, make sure to learn about the history, regardless if you're a teacher or not. I think it's so important to know about that in any country that you go to. But that was a huge difference, and also a really lovely thing to learn about that I would never have had the opportunity had I not moved here. Other than that, I think the curriculum is very similar. In many ways, you're just very highly valued over here because they know how hard you work. They know the education system that you've been through, the degree that you've done. We're very highly valued as teachers, and they appreciate the work that we do. So that was a really nice thing to see, that my 100% to them was, maybe me giving 75% of what I would have given at home. So I was working at a very high level, but not to the point where it was exhausting me and burning me out like it was at home. I was working really hard, but I also knew when to call it a day, and the Aussies just absolutely loved the level of work that we work to. What about you?
I think the thing I realised when I moved to the UK, schools were quite open to all of your different skills and teaching in different subject areas perhaps that you weren't trained in. So in my own experience, I was a dance and drama teacher originally, but my skills lended towards PE, for example. I ended up teaching contracts in PE, and that really set me up for a different career path when I returned to teach this side of the world. So that's something that I really appreciated about my experiences that side. They were varied, and they were open to drawing on everybody's skill set.
And the weather?
The weather? Well, the thing is, I'm from New Zealand. It's actually not a tropical paradise there, despite what lots of people think. But I didn't mind the weather, I lived in London. I was on the West End every weekend watching a different show. It was lively, it was amazing, so it didn't bother me. Yeah. Great. Okay, why should educators choose to partner with us?
From my own perspective, when I moved over to Australia, I didn't have anyone to help me. I didn't know about the service, and trying to do all of that work from home, especially when there was no social media back then, or even Google was still very much up and coming, it was very overwhelming. And now that there is all of these platforms, it's actually information overload, so that you can end up paying above and beyond what you should be paying for visas, registrations, checks, like police checks and stuff that you don't need. So we just make life simple for you here. And I've been working with ANZ UK for over 3 years now. The people that I work with, I am very loyal to when I know that they are providing a service that is helping expats all over the world to get to where they need to get to. They follow through on that promise on every educator that they work with, that if they are ready and they have everything they need, that they will help them every step of the way. And if there is, you know, some sort of issue and stuff, they make sure that they check in on them, or they give them after school care, or even a job in the office until they get the work that they need. So they're just a really trustworthy company. If there's ever an issue and I call them up and say, hey, what's going on? It's resolved very quickly. And it's all people who've been in the same boat. Most of the people in this team are educators. They've worked in schools, they understand the system, they know how overwhelming it can be. Many of the staff that work here are also from all over the world, so they know what it's like to live abroad, and they know that it can be very challenging at times. It's like a family, in my opinion, and that's why I'm with them 3 years on, and I truly believe in everything that they do. It's an amazing service, and I keep reiterating the fact that it is free. Like, I wish I knew about this so many years ago. It's such an amazing service, and everyone should utilise it.
So one thing we do really well at ANZ UK is we create a community for all of our educators, and particularly our travelling educators, because we know what it's like, you know, to not be at home and not be around your people. So is that something you experience through ANZ UK?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we do now, before you've even got to Australia, we give you a taste of what Australia will be like by hosting our events in the UK and Ireland. I go out twice a year with the ANZ UK team, and we come to all the different cities across the UK and Ireland and give you that taste of what Australia is like. We do pop quizzes on all the different parts of the culture and what you need to know, all the different bits of Aussie slang, but we also then educate you on what you need in order to move to Australia. And then we host a huge party so that you can meet other educators, so that you're not making that move on your own, and that you already have found people that will be in the same situation as you and traveling to the same areas as you. So it just takes away that stress. When I was moving to Australia, I was completely on my own. I didn't have anyone, and it took me a long time to settle. So what we're trying to do is create that comfort of home before you've even stepped on that flight. And that is something that ANZ UK do over any other recruitment agency, and that's what makes them stand out, is that they actually care about you as a person, your well-being, and making sure that you're happy and that you're living your dream out here, and that it's not just we're ticking a box and putting you into employment. We care about how your Australian dream turns out. So on the other end of that, when they come to Australia, what will that look like? Is there still community events happening, or sports teams that they can join, or anything like that?
Absolutely, all of the above. We host induction events, which is an opportunity for you to connect with educators who have just arrived. We'll run you through what it looks like to work in an Australian school here. And same on the other end in London, we'll do the same. We have, as you said, arrival events, and we also have events for educators that are working with us long term. So wherever you are in your stage of travelling with us, we will embed you in part of our community and make sure you're looked after. It's a really great way to meet new people in the same boat, and also chat to your consultants, meet them in person, have a drink in person. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And you guys even sponsor some sports teams in Melbourne, isn't that correct?
We do, yes. I actually play in one myself. I play in a netball team. Yes. So there's lots of different ways you can involve yourself in the community with us, whether it's through sports teams. We took a group actually to the footy a couple of weeks ago.
Amazing.
We do comedy festivals. We'll take you out. You can grab a ticket to that and meet like-minded educators that way. So whatever it is that you're interested in, we will do our best to cater to you and make you part of that community.